tomorrow. And that is it for us today. And we will leave you with a... I can't do it. We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Okay, we're having some technical difficulties up here, but yes, I can't hear you, but I assume that you can hear me. We have some kind of a pump going bad here, a cooling pump, so excuse the noise. As you can see, we're up here over the round Earth, over the global Earth. You can see it is spinning below us. Oh, it's a wonderful clear day, not a cloud in the sky. So we're up here for sure. You can see that. There's no doubt that we're up here. So, you know, that's a report, a global report. Thank you.
So here we have Einstein, and he's trying to show us something here. He's trying to show us how gravity works. So he's saying, this is how gravity works, people. But it's funny because look, that's the Earth. Well, you know, a rendition of the Earth. But they're showing that's not the sun. Now, shouldn't that be the sun? Wouldn't that be the sun? And wouldn't we be going around the sun? So what's he really showing us here? And why is the South Pole here at the bottom of the gravity well? It seems to me that this is not a very sound theory of gravity. I can't understand how this works. How are the people on the bottom not pulled down? Hey, Einstein, how are the people at the bottom not falling off the bottom into the abyss if this is the way gravity works? See? And also remember, the Earth is spinning at 1,100 miles an hour. So at 1,100 miles an hour, how are, you know, air molecules, they don't, like if you throw an air molecule out of a moving train, it's not going to move with the train, like a ball or like something heavy. It has no mass to move with the train. So if the Earth is the train and the air molecules make up all of that area in there, well, then the Earth spinning at 1,100 miles an hour would create an 1,100 mile an hour wind. Like imagine, just wave your hand in front of your face, right, and you feel the wind. Now imagine a mountain coming around at 1,100 miles an hour, you know? And also, why is it that a plane can't just launch, right? Just launch off the Earth there and remain stationary while the Earth revolves at 1,100 miles an hour. And now you got the plane going at 1,100 miles an hour. Or if you go at its maximum speed, 500 or 600 miles an hour, well, now it's going at 1,700 miles an hour. Man, you're getting your destination fast, right? You'd be hauling ass. Or if you went the other way, you'd never make it there. You'd be at 1,100 miles an hour rotation speed, your plane going 500 miles an hour, 600 miles an hour, you'd be losing ground, you know? So, of course, this is ridiculous, but he is showing you something here, Einstein. He's showing you something here. And so I'm hoping to show you what he's showing you.
Now we are going to look at two specific groups of cities. The first group is going to be from the area around Australia, including New Zealand. We'll call this Group 1. Group 1 includes Melbourne, Australia, Sydney, Australia, Perth, Australia, Auckland, New Zealand, Christchurch, New Zealand, and Hamilton, New Zealand. The second group is going to be some cities in South America, all in the southern hemisphere. I mention this because if you go high enough, you will run into a few cities that won't work. Group 2 includes Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Brasilia, Brazil, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Lima, Peru, and Santiago, Chile. Again, there is a link in the description with many other airports. Now, these two groups are interchangeable, as you would imagine, so you can start or end with either Group 1 or 2. The results will be the same, and just to make it interesting, I'll use a slightly different example which a fellow flat earther did the legwork on and show you that even these two groups aren't exclusive. So you take anything from Group 1 and anything from Group 2 and you get some distances. ranging from 6 to 8,000 miles roughly. That's all I want you to do here is get that part in your head, noticing that the route is bent because they have to account for the curvature of the Earth. All these directions are what you would expect, a straight shot over the South Pacific Ocean. Now, just to prove it's not an exclusive route, instead of starting in, say, Rio and landing in Auckland, I'll start what should be the opposite side, in Cape Town, South Africa, which is roughly the same distance on a globe Earth coming in at 7,300 miles. Notice on the map it's still a straight shot through the Indian Ocean and not crossing any countries, an easy route. I try to book my flight. For this example, we use Travel Math, but you can use whatever is easiest in your country, like Priceline, Expedia, Travelocity. It will make no difference because they're all tied to the same system. And this is when everything goes wrong. So the first leg, the airlines don't send me due east, but instead shoot me 4,700 miles almost due north to Dubai. Okay, maybe we're just picking up people. Seems a bit excessive, but I'll go with it. I'm probably comfortable in my seat drinking vodka tonics anyway. And from Dubai, it should be a straight shot home to Auckland, right? No. Now they send me southeast to Melbourne, a mere 7,300 miles. And then finally a third leg from Melbourne to Auckland coming in at around 1,600 miles. I'm rounding up or down to make the math easier. Regardless, the total miles for this flight is almost double what should be expected, coming in at 13,600 miles. In addition, the trip took me 37 hours. How long should it have taken? Well, in a 777, about 12. Now this is where you come in and say, well, it's probably an isolated incident, or some strange connection thing. You know how the airlines are. Oh no, my friends. We can do this all day. This roulette table is rigged, and there is no way to get a fair game. The first part of the clue is the utter lack of non-stop flights from anywhere in this hemisphere, which is why I gave you multiple cities in each group. And here's the plot hole for you. Flying from international cities like Sydney, Rio, Santiago, or anywhere else close by, you can't get a single non-stop flight, no matter how much money you pay. I tried to do this for an entire night, and it was like playing an online casino game, one that I was losing most of the time. The connections kept coming in like spam windows. Start in Christchurch, go to Auckland. Start in Auckland, go to Sydney. Start in Sydney, go to Dubai, or Los Angeles, or somewhere else that makes no sense. Some of these connections took the trip over 50 hours to complete. Go ahead, try it yourself. You may find one nonstop. But even then, the strangeness doesn't end there, because the speed is wrong. For reference, I included an optimum cruising speed guide from a commercial pilots forum that lists all the international aircraft used in these routes. A 777, the current state-of-the-art flagship plane, designed for maximum fuel efficiency, has a cruising speed of 640 miles an hour. 7,400 miles comes in at around 12 hours. Try to find this route. It doesn't exist. It can't. The closest I came was a one-connection flight with a 3-hour layover. The total flight time was 20 hours. 20 take away 3 is 17, not 12. And this might work if the plane was doing, say, 430 miles an hour. But it's not. In fact, the slowest cruising speed I found was an older Airbus just around 593. But this is all just numbers, right? It is until you pull up the flat Earth map and look at the farthest 2 points, which just coincidentally are anywhere in Australia and most of South America. Or my example of Lower Africa, which you can see isn't west at all. It's a shell game, and a very good one at that. Keep people guessing with multiple connections and layovers, jumping from city to city. People just sit in their seats, trying to sleep through it. And then it hits you. Well, the pilots would know, right? They fly all day, every day. Certainly, they would have figured it out by now. Some of them would get suspicious, sure. Any decent navigator will be able to work out the speed, fuel consumption, and odd connections. But imagine what they would have to get their head around. First, they would have to ignore the world GPS system that has been leading them to their destinations without error. If you want some interesting side reading, check out the link on the history of the GPS. And I quote, "Developed in 1973 to overcome the limitations of previous navigation systems, integrating ideas from several predecessors, including a number of classified engineering design studies from the 1960s. Oh, and by the way, was created by the Department of Defense, the same people that closed off Antarctica. GPS went fully live in 1995. So if you were a pilot before then, you might have been able to pick up a breadcrumb trail. After that, very difficult. Plus, let's say you did figure out that something was off. Who exactly would you tell? The FAA? You would be looking around and wondering why you were the only one to see it. And then what? You make the leap of faith and see that the entire map system is wrong? Never gonna happen. You might as well just tell them that an alien spacecraft followed your plane around for 2 hours. We know what happens then. Start playing Flight Time Casino for yourself. See what interesting things you can discover. And while you're at it, show it to any pilots that you know. But don't forget to leave the words flat Earth out. Because that's crazy, right? So do some of your own research and ask questions. Please feel free to email me at msargent23@comcast.net or 303-494-6631.
Okay, so the question is, why does the atmosphere rotate along with the Earth? That's my question too. Why the hell does the atmosphere rotate along with the Earth? How does this happen? So, we got a little diagram here. Earth is revolving, so container is also revolving because it is attached to Earth. But why is the balloon also revolving? Here's what they expect to happen. They expect the Earth to move and the balloon to stay the same. And then they were reading about a really cheap way of traveling using this kind of theory here. But it doesn't happen that way. So why doesn't it happen? So here's the answers. Here we got, the first answer is a non-answer. Just, doesn't even address the question. The second one, here we go. I agree with the sentiment of the question. However, I would like to point out that winds blow in all directions, and as such, the atmosphere does not really rotate in the way you seem to assume. Okay, that to me says they don't understand the question, or is totally trying to skirt the answer. And here we go. I don't agree that the atmosphere is rotating with the Earth because of friction. And they have some bullshit answer too. And here's the last one. The Earth does not rotate. So that's the right answer, I believe. And then they again, we got the whole answers here. Every answer is completely. Look at this one. This one says now the air is already moving. The air has already been moving. It's always moving. Everything's moving all the time. Moving. That kind of is weird. Like, that's, take a building or a mountain, right? The mountain is moving on the outside of the Earth at 1,100 miles an hour, right? It's carrying wind with it, right? There's got to be wind developing from a mountain, just like your hand in front of your face. You wave your hand in front of your face, you can feel the wind. When that's because the air molecules, they don't like to move. They're not moving with the Earth because the Earth's not moving. So anyways, no one answers the question here. Yeah, exactly. I don't know who this guy is, but he's got it right. Unfortunately, there's no empirical evidence for this. A whole lot of inventions of forces to validate an unnecessary concept of a moving globular Earth. So basically, there's no answer to this question.
So if you take a look at the image on the screen now, you can click the link in the description and check out this for yourself. You can turn on, for instance, like I did, wind currents, wave currents, and then check out what they look like on the globe. So as you can see, they're kind of all over the place, going roundabouts for no reason in some regions. It doesn't seem like there's any rhyme or reason to the path of the waves or the path of the wind currents. Doesn't make any sense with a spinning Earth. None of it seems to jive with what we see and perceive on a day-to-day basis. And I don't know about for you guys, but I don't have an agenda in all this like others. All I want is the truth, and it seems peculiar to me that there's so many things that can't be explained in the globe model. Yet, when we turn it to the flat earth model, all of a sudden these things are explained. You'll see on the screen now I'm just kind of showing some different configurations and then looking at the way the waves seem to not make any sense. Now you'll see that I flipped it to the azimuthal equidistant, or the flat earth map, and now things seem to make perfect sense. You can see everything flowing in a counterclockwise direction. You can see the in the middle that things change, and then also you can see where the blue is. This would represent the path of the moon and sun. So when we talk about the moon affecting the tides on Earth, this would be true in the flat Earth model, as the moon goes around and carries the water with it, kind of releases it as it gets further along its path, which by then it will have picked up new water, and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying is, if you go here and just play with some different things, look at the wind, look at the surface temperatures, you'll start to see that the system seems to make sense on the flat Earth, but does not on the globe. And these are the things I'm talking about, is why do all these things not jive with reality? Why are the moon phases, like the new moon that I showed earlier, not realistic? Look at this here. This shows the waves. You can see that the heaviest waves are right in the red region here, which would be right where the sun and moon are affecting the tides the most. The yellow and the green represent the medium waves, or the ones in the middle, and then the ones in the blue are the smallest waves, or the least active. So you see here, you can switch it between the AE, which is the azimuthal equidistant, or the O, like, oh my God, I don't live there, or for the globe. You can bring that up. You can see on the screen now what made sense before doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense now. It might, until we decide that, well, the Earth is tilted and is spinning on its axis. And if that were the case with the tilt, we would see a much different pattern of heavy waves. For instance, the Earth is probably tilted about like that as it spins. And as we turn the colors back on, you'll be able to see that this doesn't make a lot of sense. As it's spinning, wouldn't this be different than shown? So I challenge you to go and check it out yourself and ask yourself all the questions I've been asking myself. And why does the spinning Earth make no sense? And why does gravity make no sense? And how am I supposed to believe in curved water when it makes no sense to me? And why do the time-lapse videos we see of stars make no sense per their model?
But other stuff, the synchronicities is the one thing I wanted to really touch on. Is one of the synchronicities was as I'm doing my research here, I keep on coming across flat Earth. Like I'm looking up, I'm okay. It's the precession. What I'm trying to wrap my mind around is the precession, because this is complicated. Because they don't really know how the universe works, much less how the precession works, right? But you know, you can observe it and then come to conclusions from observing it. So while I'm doing all this research, I keep on coming across flat Earth, and of course, this is just the most ridiculous thing that you've ever heard of. Is flat Earth. People actually think that we live on a flat Earth, right? And so in my research, what the hell do I find? We live on a fucking flat Earth. I am not bullshitting you. Here's what I found, and this is the way the synchronicities work. They're really strange. Like, I'm going along and I'm researching. I'm researching marijuana. And marijuana comes to the conclusion that marijuana has all these parallels with Christ, especially the ancient Christ. The farther back you go to Krishna, you'll find Christ. Well, when you find Krishna, and you find that Krishna is actually, they're talking about the action of marijuana, is Shiva. Is the opposite of Krishna. It's Shiva. So Shiva. So I'm looking into Shiva for nothing. I'm kind of infatuated. Now you see that Shiva has all the symbols of the elite. All the elite, they have the Shiva's got all those symbols in there, and so obviously the elite worship Shiva. So I'm thinking Shiva's got to be hemp. Hemp, the god of war. Back in the day, Jarillo was the god of war, and for this, Shiva has to be 40,000 or 120,000 years old. And we're talking about really, really old. So Jarillo was 500 years old, 750 years old, right? So there was gods of war that were cannabis, that were hemp. So that's what I'm thinking. But my final conclusion was that Shiva was a black hole, was the avatar of a black hole.
When we turn it to the flat Earth model, all of a sudden these things are explained. You'll see on the screen now I'm just kind of showing some different configurations and then looking at the way the waves seem to not make any sense. Now you'll see that I flipped it to the azimuthal equidistant, or the flat Earth map, and now things seem to make perfect sense. So you can see everything flowing in a counterclockwise direction. You can see the in the middle that things change, and then also you can see where the blue is. This would represent the path of the moon and sun. So when we talk about the moon affecting the tides on Earth, this would be true in the flat Earth model, as the moon goes around and carries the water with it, kind of releases it as it gets further along its path, which by then it will have picked up new water, and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying is, if you go here and just play with some different things, look at the wind, look at the surface temperatures, you'll start to see that the system seems to make sense on the flat Earth, but does not on the globe. And these are the things I'm talking about, is why do all these things not jive with reality?